What's going on, guys? Hitball is back for the next part of this tutorial, and what we're going to do now is our next animation, and what that is going to be an idle animation. So we kind of want it to be pretty close to this end pose here, which is also the start of the run cycle. And all I'm really going to do is plant his feet. I'll move him around just a little bit, but I want it to be fairly similar to this. We will be able to blend to this animation, so it's not going to be a super huge deal, but just in terms of practice, we're going to go ahead and lock in this animation here. So we're going to call this idle. Okay, and now you can see no animation because we have this layer active, and what we're going to do is just pose them up. Hide that guy. I'm going to do a little bit less commentary on this one than normal. I don't really want to slow it down too much. Let's just get a halfway point here. Pretty subtle there. What I'm thinking here is that he looks to the left. Holds that for a little bit. Then looks to the right. And then, let's see, holds that here. Let's go ahead and do the curve editor on that. We're looking at the Y rotation, I believe. Okay, so nope, that's actually the wrong rotation. So what I want to do here is kill the in-betweens on this guy. Go like that. Damn it. So that should be alright, I think. Yeah, it's okay. Alright, and what we're going to do on this, just give it a little bit of pulse. Okay, and then we'll go back to the curve editor, and we go to edit, controller, out of range types, and we'll tell that to loop. Okay, and you can see that now it loops, and I have the ability to just adjust the one however I want, and it'll loop throughout the rest of the thing. We'll do the same thing on these guys here. What axis am I trying to get? There we go. See how this is like I can't select it? And now I can. It's kind of stupid. Okay, and the cool thing is if I want to retime it, I just got to mess with these couple of frames. Okay. Take this one a little bit slower. And because, to be honest, there's not that many frames here, I'm just going to dupe it. It's not going to hurt. And I'll do this one on one quicker cycle. Alright. Oops. Actually, I'm already on the curve editor. Can I move this around? There we go. It's weird. I couldn't move it around at first. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is come here and key, and we'll take that up just a little bit and that down just a little bit. We can actually get rid of this, and then we want these to loop clean, so we'll just make them linear and then user, and that should give them a little bit of side to side. Probably a little bit too much. So we'll do this again. Boom, boom. It saves us having to move them. Alright. Lower jaw. And we'll come back up and edit controller out of range types to loop. Just get a little bit of movement in that mouth. Alright, and I'm happy with it. So that can be his idle calm, and I think that's going to work out just fine. So now, let's add another one. We'll call that jump. Okay, so we start at the beginning of idle. Okay, and what we're going to do is Control A minus that, and keyframe. And what we'll do is we'll lower him down. And let's go to the front view. And then boing. Depending on how high we want him to jump. Probably not that high. Okay, now what we need to do is time these. Let's get these guys to trail behind. And then come up. We're actually going to raise them up just a little bit more. And we'll bring these way up. Hard to see the whole thing now. Okay. And then this is going to come back down, so we'll just dupe that. And these guys are going to do the same. Okay. So that's just locking it in, but we're not done yet. Alright, let's see. So it goes up. And then they should be trailing behind just a little bit still. And then after, we'll sink him down. Then back up. Okay. Okay, we're going to shift this over here so he flips it up. And then goes there. Alright, let's fix the curves. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to put that about in the middle. I'm going to get rid of that so I get a nice hang at the top here. It's going to mess up his timing with the legs. They're probably going to stretch away from him. And let's actually, so we need to hang on to this whole thing a little bit longer. So what we're going to do is we'll move everything after here. We'll take that like so. So he freezes. And then we'll come here, right in the middle, and add a key right there. And then go back to move keys, and we'll just tilt that. Let's actually make that one auto. Okay. So it goes whoosh, slams down. Feels much better. Okay, the legs, the feet, need to trail. Again, I need to fix that because now that I've adjusted his body's timing. Shit. Okay, let's go. So right here, they should still be on the ground. And here, need to be way down. So the other thing I want to do is over this course of this time here is I want to pull the feet in. So I got to do this kind of quick. So we'll do this leg first. And then this leg next. Then this leg next. And this leg starts here. A little bit after the first one. Just probably going to have to retime this. And also, well, we'll probably have to do this one at a time because I pulled them in, but then they're going to shoot back out, right? So I need to pull that in. Let's just copy the Y position here. Paste that there. And I want to pull those down a little bit more. Let's fix this guy. This one doesn't really pull in at all. Let's get rid of this frame and let's actually move that foot in. We'll dupe that to there. Move it up. So they hit up here, and then raise them up just a little bit more. Alright, let's play with these guys here. Haven't done anything on them yet, so we'll wipe that out. Hang on. Let's get rid of those. Let's get this out of the way here really quick. Pull these guys up, and on the way down, we'll let these trail behind. So he kind of slaps the ground a little bit. Okay, we got a little bit of issue at the rear. You can see here. Let's lock that keyframe and then pull that up. Okay. Is that in the IK? Nope, that's in the rotation of these guys. Interesting. What the fuck is going on there? Is it these guys then? I might have accidentally rotated those. And we'll pull that forward. There we go. No more difference between the first and start frames. So let's give it a look. Okay. The only thing I gotta fix is the feet and their timing. So they come in to 15 and they're spreading out now. So let's get rid of that. And let's actually pull that down. I got a little bit of an issue with the skin weighting right here. I need to fix. That's better. And let's pull these guys, oops, let's move that here. Just too far down. And they need to be out a little bit more. Okay, that is sinking way into the ground. Let's isolate them, get a better feel. Whoop, I want to zoom in on them. See if that feels a little bit better with some rotation in there. I feel like that comes down too quick, so let's actually extend that much longer. slams down. So select that keyframe. Boom. Yeah, a little bit of a bounce in that. This, I don't know, it's hard to time right here. So, because I want it to thrust up, like he's throwing himself up, not so it's totally trailing. Feels better. I am looking at him from quite far away so that I get kind of a little bit more of a better feel from him from a distance. Okay. He's pretty funny. I like it. Let's isolate. Get a feel. Okay, now we have it all as in one sequence, but I think we'll be okay. And I'm not doing a loop jumping, but maybe I should. I may want to do a, because he hits his peak at 30, hangs until pretty much, I may want to hang him until, he hangs until 30 to like 15 frames, 45. I'm going to save real quick just in case I mess this up. I'm going to lock a keyframe here, and then I'm going to take that to 45. So if I type 30 here, we should see no difference. And we don't. So this animation right here, and we can test that if we want to take a look. So we can go 30 to 45, and we can hit OK. This would be our idle, him flying in the air. So, and you might want to ask yourself, well, why do you need this? And the reason for this is actually really important. Let me put this back. Let's say, for instance, that he jumps on flat ground. When he jumps on flat ground, we essentially just want to play this animation as it is, right? Oh no! Shut up! Hopefully that worked. Okay, so, but what happens if he jumps? What about happens if he jumps from here and then lands down here? If we play it without the looping, what will happen is he'll play this animation. Let's just try to do something like that. So he starts from that height right there. But what we want to have happen is we want him to fall all the way down. Well, he's going to do his animation of landing while he's still way up here. So what we do is we loop this right here until he gets to this height that he is from the ground down here from the new ground. So the reason that we do a jump idle is so that when you jump off of something and you fall for a really long time, you don't want the landing animation to play. You want him to be flailing his arms and doing stuff in the air, like flapping his arms like a bird, or however you want to do it. So that's why we do it that way, because it's really the only way to handle that. So what we end up with is we end up with a pre-jump, a jump idle, a pre-land, and then a land. So the pre-land happens when he's yay distance from the ground. The land happens when he hits the ground. So during the whole entire flight, which could be really, really high if he jumps off like the Empire State Building and he's falling, you know, for like 6 seconds, we got to make sure that we have something for him to be doing during that time that isn't landing on the ground animation. So that's why I decided to add that loop point in there. And what we're going to end up doing is we're just going to export it as one animation sequence. And then what we can do is, because like right there is pre-jump, right? Like I'd say 0 to 10 is pre-jump, so that's him cocking up, getting ready. And then the jump would probably be from 10 to 20, right? Or actually to 30, 10 to 30. So this is where he jumps, okay, up to here. Then he idles back and forth. He's flying in the air, he's coming down, and then when we get to a certain distance from the ground, then we start playing the pre-land. And then when he hits the ground, which would be 60, then we play the land animation, which would be 60 to 80. So we break it up so that it behaves properly no matter where he jumps from. And if he just jumps from the ground and lands on the same height, it pretty much should just play in sequence as it would anyway. Okay? So that's why we do that. Hopefully that makes sense. It should. I'm sure you guys are all aware of it. And again, you know, if we don't want to do that, we can, you know, go back to his idle. We got his, we can turn his idle off, and we go back to his wake up. So we have all these animations saved. If we want to, we can change the colors of them. When I was watching videos on how to do cat rig stuff, and the dude was changing the colors on stuff, it actually changed the colors of the entire bone, and I'm not sure that that's like a display thing. Object color. Well, that's the mesh. Oh, material color. I'm not real sure about why that's not showing up, but when they were doing blends, the bones would be all blue because this is the animation, or well, right now the bones would turn blue because this is the animation that we're using. But I don't know if they changed that or if I'm not doing it correctly or something. But if we, and then when you blend it, you'll actually see these colors change and blend. But that's not happening. So remember, these are absolute layers. They're not, you know, local layers. So if we wanted to, we could always make variations on all of these things for different situations, and we can add local adjustments to each of these bones for some of these things if we wanted to. For instance, the same way that Sneak was just an adjustment on his walking cycle. Okay, and if we wanted to, we could make another one that's called like angry, and we could make him in a more angry run cycle. So if we were to ignore that, see, that's Sneak. So let's ignore Sneak, and let's add a new local adjustment layer, and we'll call this like charge, right? And all we really want to do is like move him forward and maybe tilt him like that and just open up his trap. And now we got a run cycle with him going forward. Now you can see that we have over animation on his mouth, and a part of that is, the reason for that is because we actually have keyframes on his mouth opening and closing that we put into the motion layer, which in hindsight is a mistake. We shouldn't have done that, because now anything if we want to change his mouth and stuff, we have to fight what's going on in here, right? So what we could do, I don't know if we can do it keys, curves, edit. See, there's no copy. I don't know at what it requires. What did I just? I don't know what it requires to actually copy these things. But in reality, it's not going to be all that hard to reanimate that. So what I would actually like to do would be to take that out. So he's got his mouth open. Again, we're still doing the charge animation here. Okay, and what we can do is we can add now another adjustment layer, and we'll call this mouth open. Alright, so that's with the mouth open. Then we'll do another one, and we'll call that mouth closed. And with mouth closed selected, we can just shut his trap. We can shut his pie hole. I don't know if he eats a lot of pie. If I were him, I would. So there he is with his mouth closed. There he is with his mouth open, right? And without mouth open, same thing, because his mouth is open in the motion layer anyway. Okay. So we can have those should we want to, and we can export them however we want. And the other thing, I mean, there's nothing really stopping us from going into UE4 and controlling his mouth opening and closing. So we could do like an animation of his mouth opening or biting or something like that, and then we can have him bite at any time while he's jumping, while he's running, while he's idle, while he's doing anything. We can have him still bite. We have that control. We always did. But in this case, you know, I'll just leave it like this. So in this case, I would actually want his mouth closed for him normally running. And again, this is charge, so let's ignore charge. You can see it gets grayed out, so we know what we're looking. I didn't look at his face. Okay. So what about if that's on ignore? That's original with just the motion layer. So mouth closed is actually not needed because it's closed anyway. So mouth open, why did that why did I lose that? Maybe I need a keyframe. We'll just do it on auto key here. And we'll just key them just in case, and then we'll take a look. So mouth open, ignore. Okay, so if we want to at any one of these, we can export with a mouth open, and we can always, you know, blend that should we want to, but we're not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to move his mouth while he does his regular run cycle. Let's just play that. So I'm going to overwrite this one. Just control page down that. And that'll be run. Okay. Then we'll do the same thing for sneak. Okay, again, no mouth open. So let's control page down that. And we go sneak. Okay. I think we already did. Let's do charge, but no sneak. And charge does open up his mouth, I believe. I'm wondering if I should, on charge, if I should have him be wrong. Did that actually work when I did that? No. Okay, good. I'm kind of glad. I'm wondering if I should have him be more like this when he charges. And I also think I want to pull these guys up. No animation, you'll notice. I'm not actually doing any animation. I'm just posing it. You see how quickly we can change this kind of stuff. So now he's charging at you more forwards. Okay. Which is working out pretty good. So let's actually go ahead and let's accept that one. So that's charge. Okay, come back. Just select one bone here. We'll turn that off. He's back to normal. See? Very, very easy. We already got wake up. I don't know if I did idle, so let's go back to idle. We just check it. It looks good. So come back here. Let's export. Did I export idle? I did. Just again, just in case. Okay, and then we don't actually need to ignore it because remember they're absolutes, so this will override everything underneath it anyway. And what I'll do is I'll export this one as jump. So that's the full jump sequence. Now if we wanted to, like I said, how we broke this up, so that would be pre-jump right there, 0 to 10. We can actually export this as jump underscore pre or prep if you wanted to. And you can come here and you can drop this down, I thought, and we can actually tell it to only export 0 to 10. But there is a problem with doing this as it is. If we bring this into UE4 like this, it will only give us the animations from 0 to 10. It will only animate from 0 to 10, but it will still give us the entire timeline that we will actually have to trim in UE4. So the real way to do that, should you truly want to, is to change that to 10. But I don't actually want to do that. And since FBX is such a dill whip about not trimming the timeline when you export, I personally don't see any point. If I'm going to have to trim these animations anyway, then why am I even going through the process of exporting a bunch of different ones? Because I got to trim them all. So why don't I just export the whole jump and then duplicate it, trim it, duplicate it, trim it, duplicate it, trim it? There's no point. I mean, there's no reason not to do that. So that's what I'm going to do. So anyways, there was jump and idle, and we added a little bit of a charge, and if we want to, we can export just his mouth opening and closing or something for a bite, and then we can use that to blend. We can always blend from the head forward. That would be no problem. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. This is actually going to be the last of the animation videos that I do. I may or may not do a few more for him depending on what I want to have happen. I'm actually kind of tempted to do one where he comes crawling out of the ground. Blah, blah, blah. Of course he would be, you know, crawling out of the ground like this kind of thing, you know, where he comes out and then crawls out. But I haven't fully decided if I'm gonna do that yet, because I kind of want to, because I think it would look pretty cool for him to crawl out of some gory gut stuff, because he's like a parasite inside of a creature, so it would be cool to have him crawl out of a butthole or some kind of warty, pussy hole, you know, and just start spraying all this yellowy goo shit everywhere as he's crawling his way out, and you start seeing his little feelers poking out and stuff. It'd be pretty neat, I think. But I don't think it's super important for me to do that. I did just save the file. I do want to show you guys one thing that I did do with CatRig. I don't know if I did this here. Yeah, looks like I did do this here. So this was from the old Game Jam, and this also is a CatRig. Okay, as you can see here, I actually have an animation of him digging down, and then he goes down underneath the ground. And I think that I even had one of him. Let's re-emerge. Let's ignore that one, not ignore that one. They might all be adjustments on the same one. It's not solo it. Yeah, here he goes. So this is the one where he re-emerges, and if you look at it from the top of the ground, play, see, comes up, looks around, he steps out, and he's ready to go. And all of it again loops to the same point. And this was a bipedal cat rig, so it worked out pretty good. You know, you can use this to do any. It doesn't, you know, like I said, you don't have to limit it to just like the procedural layer or stuff like that. You have full control over the animation, and you can even do stuff where you can notice in this animation he's actually fully IK. You can see it's all drifted to the side, but I'm not sure all of them are actually like that. Let's see, so if I ignore this one and go to this one, I don't know if this actually has any animation on it. I think it's the same animation. But here's his original run cycle, so let's take this and ignore that. Here's his original walk cycle, where he just walks around. And I just used the procedural layer. And I think this one, oh, this is where he actually eats you. He actually, the reason that this is weird is because he's actually grabbing the camera and he's pulling it up to his face. So because you can't see the camera, it's kind of hard for me to show, but it kind of does like this kind of view when he eats you. You know, he's got little candy cane teeth. Let's see about this one. I think this is where he grabs the little gingerbread man. Oh no, this is where you hurt his foot. So he just bounces up and down, and basically I just loop that over and over again, doing, 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 and then let's ignore that one. I think this is where he's digging down. Yeah, he's digging down, and then the next one's where he digs up. I also had another one where he runs at you, which I think was kill, player, grab, eat, swipe, rigging, model, rigging, split, grab, eat. I think this one, yeah, he grabs the gingerbread man and grabs him up and then eats him. So he does that whenever he catches one of the little gingerbread men. So like I said, you know, it's all layers, it's all the whole regular animation system, and if I ignore it, you know, he's back to walking again. You know, same animation. I just saved out different files, and then this was actually the very first thing I ever did in CatRig, and I was really happy with the controls, with the way that everything was able to just layer and all that stuff. So hopefully you guys explore it. It is a super powerful system. It's very handy. It's very user friendly, I'd say. It can be a little confusing here and there. And it kind of negates a few things that we may be used to, like for instance I wasn't able to give myself an elbow or knee control, which was a little disappointing, but just the fact that you can rotate the bones, and you can't do that with a bone chain, is also handy. So anyways, I'm going to end this part here, and if I'm going to do any more of this series, it's going to be pretty much all in UE4. Any tweaks and fixes to the animations, or any new animations that I end up creating will, I'm just going to do those off camera, because there's no real need to just keep going down this road and showing what I'm doing here. This character is pretty unique to, you know, my particular project, and this isn't actually for anything for me. This isn't going to be a live project or anything. This is just practice and for fun for the most part. So I just decided to record it. So anyways, if you guys like it, let me know. If not, let me know. And if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next either series or the next part of this series, depending on how this goes and how my time goes. So thanks.